I'm going to hand over now to Omri, and yeah, give everyone a big virtual welcome to the stage.
Hi all. Hi James, thank you. Hi to everyone. Very, very happy and excited to do this, to be here. Do it from home. It's another great thing, I must say. This is my second app promotion from home. Also London, we did from home. So I think it's crazy times, but it's become to be our regular times. So we're all used to it already. And I really like these virtual events. So again, thank you all for being here with us. With us today, we're in the panel of the State of User Acquisition 2020. We're going to talk, especially dive into a survey that Zoom did with Business of Apps. And we got the most interesting companies here with us in the panel. I think companies that have great insights on what happened in COVID, what's going on in COVID, companies that are the heartbeat of COVID, I would call it. So I'm very happy and excited they're with us here. I'll start moving between a presenter view and to hear everyone with us. What we'll do is we'll show results of the research we did, and we'll hear insights from our team. So with us are Wendy from TaxFix, Amir from Tipico, Marta from Mind7, and Anne from Walt. And from here, I'll just let everyone, each one of you guys, if you could share with us 60 seconds about you, your company, and a few word summary of this last year that was crazy. One moment, I'll move to you guys and I'll approach each one of you. Wendy, if you could start, that would be great. We'll start with you.
Cool. Yeah, thanks, Marie, for the intro, and thank you, App Promotion Summit, for hosting this remote event. So my name is Wendy, Performance Marketing Lead here at TaxFix. I joined the company roughly 1 year ago. So TaxFix is a company that helps regular people to file their taxes and get their maximum refund in the most efficient manner, so that people can focus on what's important for them. And I really witnessed a lot of things like up and downs in 2020. We doubled in size as a company. We also grew 4 times in user acquisition, launched into additional markets, so super exciting. But on the downside, we also have some challenging moments due to COVID in terms of the remote work, and also having a lot of workload individually, and then to really cope with the stress along the way. But yeah, there's like a couple of great initiatives that the company has done throughout the year. One of them that I particularly want to mention is despite the situation, like we've all become super user-centric, really putting user in our hearts as part of that effort. The entire company, especially marketing team, started talking to our customers as well on a weekly basis. This really helps us, to get closer to what our users really want and to adjust that within our messaging. So really a lot of exciting things happening here, but I also want to tackle on, what we should look forward in terms of, user acquisition in 2021, and happy to be discussing those in today's panel. Thank you.
We'll be happy to hear from you soon. Thank you. Marta, if you could share a bit about you, the company, and quick few word summary of last year, this crazy year that we've been all through.
Absolutely. Hi, I'm Marta. I lead performance marketing at 7Mind. 7Mind is a mindfulness and meditation app with our main focus here in DACH. 2020 has been definitely interesting. Unlike Omri, I would prefer to be now at Hotel Adlon rather than at home, but definitely we have experienced really a lot of good things, but also a lot of downsides. It's mostly because of a product offering we have at the company. So we are focusing on both insurance companies that we partner with, so B2B approach, but also B2C approach. And at the early stage of COVID, we were able definitely to leverage the momentum of the situation. However, later on, I think everyone was kind of done with the situation, and the seasonality kicked in as well. So it was really interesting to experience another peak that most health and fitness startups experience during Q1. We had this again starting Q2, so that was definitely something worthwhile experiencing, but at the same time, obviously the circumstances were very disappointing. So yeah, I'm happy to discuss with you guys today the results of the survey. Also looking forward to seeing them.
Thank you. Happy you're with us. Okay, I think one of my favorite brands in COVID days. Anne, your turn.
Thank you. Hi guys, my name is Anne.
Great blue.
I thought it would be easier not to go with the blue because we have too many already. But my name is Kenneth. I'm the Director of Performance Marketing team in Vote. So I joined the company in January 2019. So we've been in here for almost 2 years. Before that, I worked in the gaming side, so in Wargaming and Rovio. Yeah, so Vote is, for some of you who may know and some of you who haven't known about Vote, we are a food delivery company. So we focus on bringing the best food experience to a lot of people all around the world. Right now, Vote is in 23 countries, and this year has been definitely crazy time for us and for myself on the personal level and on the professional level. Every one of us is working from home and doing like a lot of things remotely. For Vote, things doesn't really stop. We managed to scale a lot and activities during the COVID time because the user consumer behavior changed. Not to mentioning that we actually expanded to the two biggest country in our portfolio, which is Japan and Germany. And that's probably 2020, it's been crazy in both good and bad way, and looking forward to 2021. And of course, talking today about how user acquisition or performance marketing will be in the coming years.
Great, thanks. And last, Amir from Tipico industry. We'll dive into it, but Amir, a few words also.
Thank you, Omri. Thank you for being here as well in the great summit. First time for me. Let me introduce myself. My name is Amir Sagib. I'm working for Tipico already more than 1 year. Previously at Bwin, in the industry for 5 years in the, I would say, gambling, sports betting industry. So in nutshell, to summarize this year, of course, it's a challenge, but I call it the game changer year. Of course, if you look on particularly on sports, we had the first lockdown and then the sports was completely, I would say, stopped, especially football, which we all love, and of course other sports, and this was devastating as well for our business. And yeah, afterwards we were worried about the euro, and our worries were also let's say came true. So yeah, the euro was cancelled, but thanks I would say, especially I would say the Bundesliga and the German Football Association managed to, I would say, put some very good structure how the football can continue, and I think Europe copied it, and yeah, it's kicked again, and we saw unexpected results, and of course people were striving as well and thriving to also to bet and to be on our side. So as a market leader, we did everything to, you know, to have all the offerings ready, and we managed. Yeah, so definitely we learned a lot. And of course, as Tipico has also land-based shops that was also closed, people that used to go to the shops as well went to online. So we learned a lot about this new behavior and what need to be changed. Yeah, so internally as well, working for home, but as well understanding our customers and their needs, how we can continue. So definitely a roller coaster, but we see that, yeah, the future is bright. Also, Germany also improved the new license for the new operators. So I think for moving from here, it will be interesting to see how the market organizes itself. So a lot of interesting topics going to arrive at us in 2021. Thank you.
Thank you, Amir. Thank you. So thank you, everyone. I'll just say who I am because I let everyone start first. I'm Omri Argaman. I'm a CMO at Zoom. Zoom is a company that's been in the industry for a long time. It's a merge of two companies, Moblin and Zoom. We're in the user acquisition activity. We have a platform that manages all user acquisition for clients. So from here, I'll move on. Okay, let me share again the screen. Okay, great. Do you see my screen? Yeah. Okay. So what are we going to do here? So around in November, we decided at Zoom, we're about to launch a new platform, a new version of our platform, a SaaS version of the platform, the user acquisition platform. And we thought of our marketing actions in order to start this whole activity to launch. We're very close to Business of Apps, and we said, hey, let's run an industry survey to understand how customers, advertisers, and agencies have been affected this year because of COVID. I'm sure you all agree this year has been different to everyone, good or bad, but it's been different, that's for sure. And we had an idea. Let's run an first time industry survey with all the industry, with the biggest publisher in the industry, in order to get some insights from user acquisition masters, user acquisition people that have been doing it for a long time, from all categories. And for us at Zoom, there was something that was really insightful to understand who is our target audience when we're going to launch our new version of the platform. So what I'll do, I'll start jumping into the results. And in each relevant slide, we'll talk to the panel. So first first thing is who actually answered this. So we had around 400 people answering the survey. You can see here that the biggest industry is gaming, but right after that is lifestyle, financial services, entertainment, and after that, e-commerce, and then and also utilities. I must say, on a personal note, I think we got the best panel here. I mean, the best panel relevant for COVID. We got from the delivery industry, we got from the gaming industry, gambling, we got from the lifestyle, and we got from the fintech. And I think all these 4 categories really were affected by COVID. So I'm really happy with who's with us here. So this is who answered the survey. Again, around 400 people that answered it. The first question we wanted to know is how many channels, how many sources did advertisers and agencies, but also run in the last year when they're running their user acquisition campaigns. So we weren't surprised by the answers. You can see here that almost, I would say 55% of the people that answered are running between 3 to 5 channels. We all know who are 2 out of those 3, probably everyone is running on those 2. But 55% are running between 3 to 5. And it's nice to see that around more or less 30% are running on 6+. 6+ channels. Now, this is a whole issue of strategy, and we'll talk to our panel in a moment. But from here, I'll dive into what are the channels the people run, actually, the user acquisition managers run. So, of course, as I said, Google and Facebook, of course, we all understand are number 1. But look at Apple Search, number 3. If you take Apple Search relevant only for iPhones, I think it's an unbelievable percentage here. After that, following, we can see TikTok. That's going to be the big name for 2021, of course. And after that, we see ad networks and SDK networks. As I see it, the main surprise here is the Apple Search. I think it's really interesting. And from here, I would love to hear our panel. Guys, there are two different strategies we're running in user acquisition. One strategy is, hey, let's take the easy way. Let's go on the Google, Facebook, or the good channels we know. We don't want to try. We're not willing to lose money or lose investment to experiment. So that's one strategy. Second strategy is, hey, let's all the time try new channels, regardless of what they are. Let's see where we can find that new oil. If the oil is new users, let's see where we can find them. I would like to hear from you guys. I mean, you've been, again, all of you this last year, a lot of changes. What's your strategy, and what do you see on the channels that we saw? Is the results we see of Facebook, Google, Apple Search, and then TikTok, is that how you do it also? Wendy, I'll start with you, if it's okay.
Sorry, I was on mute. I must say that I was quite surprised by the amount of people who ran like less than 5 channels. I would say that in TaxFix, of course, we start with the predominantly like Facebook push channels, Google Search, which includes also Google UAC, the app campaigns. We also have a large amount of budget that goes into Apple Search ads as our main pioneer there. But apart from that, we do see a lot of opportunities also growing within other sort of channels. So we did test a little bit of Snapchat in the beginning of the year, but we also did a lift off and outbring those more native channels, in-app channels that can help us, just increasing our reach, and also to help us, test more different kind of placements and different types of creatives. We do, let's say this year was really full of, taking also a lot of risks. So we see it from the obvious channels, but we also don't want to just limit ourselves into that. So I would say it's a variety of more than probably 10 channels that we run predominantly this year.
All right, so you're like in the 10%. I like that. I think it's the way is to always try and find those new channels. And how do you run your user acquisition there at Walt? What's your strategy? Is it only the short channels, or do you like trying all the time new channels?
So I'm probably one of the most skeptical guys when it comes to the new channels. So I like to be really critical when onboarding a new one. So for 2020 or 2019, we have been running mainly on the main channel, Facebook, Google. Surprisingly, when we're telling this to others, that Snapchat is actually our third biggest channel. We probably one of the most successful in Snapchat advertiser in that sense, because we're actually scaling Snapchat a lot. Probably we find a right formula, or probably because of the product is really fit to the audience on Snapchat. Then, of course, we have Apple Search. On Apple Search, we actually bringing into a new level that we're building like an automations that our campaign managers actually don't have to do like a daily work too much on Apple Search, that they can actually doing like some sort of cyborg or hybrid model between the manual campaign and then the machine taking over. Then, of course, we test out Twitter. We have Japan, so Twitter is pretty natural channel for us to move into. Then we have Pinterest. We have TikTok, which is one of the newest channel, and we have been seeing great success, probably because similar audience between TikTok and Snapchat. And then we did also run a campaign on some video channel, because based on my gaming background, also some programmatic channels. They don't have as much scale as we would have from the channel that I mentioned above. So to summarize, I say that 2020 for us, we are talking about 6 to 8 channel. So not that more than 10. 2021 forward, we're actually looking to potentially expand more. So we're talking with more partner and looking into opportunity for native ads to programmatics, also to other video and video channels. But we will see like which one have a better targeting, because our business is very hyper-local targeting, and that's considered to be a deal breaker for us when we go to a new channel in that sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks. Amir, how would you say the results? I mean, on your site?
I would say a few thoughts about, of course, the survey. I was surprised not to see Twitch, for example, as we know that I would say gaming is booming, of course, during the Corona, of course, and especially now more players joining, as PS5 and Xbox now introduced the new devices, which is boosting all the, of course, the gamers. This was only my thoughts, and of course I was also surprised by I would say Apple Store, which personally for us, from my point of view, was not such a crucial channel. Of course, it's must to have, I would say. I would compare this as if I see these results, and of course reflecting to our activities as well. You know, like a football team, so you have the defenders and the goalkeeper needs to be safe. Facebook, Google are behind.
Oh, Amir froze. Is it only for me or everyone? Okay. So Marta, we'll move to you. Amir, sorry if you hear me. We're moving to Marta. Amir got disconnected. Marta?
Yeah, definitely. So in our case, it mostly depends actually on who the target user is. So seeing Apple Search ads up in this result is not so surprising. I think to a large extent, it's also the protection mechanism many brands are using to simply protect their brand keywords, right? This is also where we see the best results when it comes to Apple Search ads, and to what extent you jeopardize this traffic is another question and another dimension, obviously, of advertising on Apple Search ads. Obviously, we are also super comfortable spending money on Google and Facebook, but I guess it also is related to the fact that their interface, targeting options, and so on are the most sophisticated ones. When it comes to this more millennial-oriented campaigns and channels, so TikTok and Snapchat, we are also seeing really good results with student campaigns, so basically targeting students and the younger audience. And obviously here, it's all about the speed as well. So we have a good ratio of all these channels, but another thing to consider here is obviously the budget you have at your disposal. So I guess if you are a bigger advertiser, you should definitely diversify your channel portfolio and the media mix. If you're a smaller advertiser, you're better off going with the main channels, just because also of the reach these channels offer. So obviously this differs to a large extent depending on the budget you have at your disposal and also who your end user, your targeting is. But again, as said, looking into the user journey and in our data warehouse, we can actually see that a lot of users that we are actually targeting on Pinterest are ultimately converting on our channel. So yeah, a lot of dimensions to discussing this. I think we don't have enough time, but definitely I'm a fan of diversification, but at the same time, it depends what your KPIs are and what is definitely your optimization goal.
Thank you. Great. Great insights, guys. Okay, moving on forward to our next, because we have here time to stand by. So we heard the insights regarding the channels. I think totally, I mean, depends who the brand is, what's the geo, what's the budget. Couldn't agree more than that. And it's great to hear your answers here are more or less, guys, as the answers here. Okay, we wanted to know, it's COVID year, everyone's talking COVID. And this, I must say, this answer here, I really liked it. We asked people how you or your team's performance has been affected by COVID. Oh, not COVID-10, COVID-19, excuse me. So it was great to see that more than 50% of the people said that the team has got more efficient. I can tell you on my side, as personal Omri, the same. I mean, I when the kids aren't home, when I'm home working, it could be a lot more efficient. I think that everyone's learned to be a lot more efficient. But I'll start with Anne. I mean, your business has grown like this in Walt this year, I'm sure. How do you guys manage it? I mean, have you been more efficient, do you think, with all this? I mean, work is coming in crazy, I would say, but how do you manage this? I would like to hear you.
Yeah, definitely. COVID isn't easy for any one of us. The fact that we're not seeing each other and working side by side every day, even though we talk on Slack, that's definitely a minus. Personally, I'm not enjoying it. I miss being physically with my team, and I guess the other people would do the same. But on the professional level, I have to say that the team has been kick-ass for the 2020. More efficient. I don't know if that it's the workload doesn't really get any easy. I mean, food delivery has been having quite good impacts, like really positive impacts from the COVID, meaning that there actually like more demand into the way that we're doing marketing. We have to like thinking more about the narrative that we want to tell to the people. So more work for each of the country that we operate in, meaning that more work for the guys who run the team. But so far I haven't seen any like inefficient that happen. It's actually just even better comparing to last year. And thinking about that, like the way that we're organizing the team is also quite unique. Is not the same like others. So we have like rather smaller team. So that's even tell like more how the team has been performing for the last few months.
Great. Marta, also you, I'm sure your business, whoever doesn't know, Seven Mind is in lifestyle and meditation. And I know from Zoom that we've got a lot of new customers in the meditation and lifestyle arena in the last year. And I know these apps have been booming. How have you been? Have you been more efficient in your team?
So absolutely right at the beginning, as I've already mentioned in my intro, we have been definitely overwhelmed with amount of work, but also interest of the users. So we have definitely had the momentum there, but also along with the time, as time passed, basically, the seasonality kicked in. The novelty of the COVID basically was gone. So we were slowly coming back to, let's say, normal numbers. When it comes to the efficiency, I must say that definitely what has helped us a lot is sticking to our routines, to our dailies and weeklies and so on. And definitely being KPI oriented definitely has helped a lot. So having these organizational frameworks in place is definitely very important to stay on top of the game. But I must say that personally, I've been going to the office every now and then. Luckily, we are having a good rules in place to do so. So definitely, I've been missing the surrounding, but also obviously enjoying every now and then this home office situation as well. But the team has definitely been kick-assing as well.
Great, thanks. I think it's again, from a personal, I think it's a matter of balance. I'm now home because I didn't feel that well. No COVID, no worries. A bit of a cough, But I think if I could, after COVID, post-COVID, split my week, half in the office, half at home, I think that's the best efficiency to see people, be part of teams, but still to be able to sit at home. I think that's the ideal solution for me, at least. Okay, moving on. One moment, guys. Moving on. So we asked, and as you said, we asked, you were talking about KPIs. So of course, it depends on what industry you're in, what app, what geo, how bad is the country affected by COVID, how bad is the business affected. We wanted to know, we asked you how were the KPIs or targets changed during COVID. So we can see here that most of the answers, more than 50% actually said that they changed a bit. In green, we see almost 30% more or less that changed completely. And in the yellow, we see that it stayed the same, more or less. Before I move to the next question, okay, we're talking about KPIs. Now, it's very interesting to me. I'm sorry that I'm back all the time, but I would like to hear from first Amir. Amir, again, as we know, he's in the sports betting industry. This is an industry that Tipico is the biggest operator in Germany, in DACH region for sports betting. They have also retail stores. And this is a business that starting March, 100% shut down. You know, you were looking for games, I believe, but Amir, how did you guys, I mean, did your KPIs, targets, how does that change? How does it happen? I mean, what's happening?
For us, yeah, as you said, sorry for dropping out again. Sometimes the internet in home office is jumping a bit, but yeah, as I said in my opening statement, this year was a kind of roller coaster. Yeah, definitely, we didn't count of completely shut down, and that of course had an impact. And as well, the Euro, which is the biggest event of the year for football, was cancelled. So definitely it had an impact on our forecasted numbers. But if I need to be honest, of course, our management, I would say upper management, was still, I would say, positive about recovery. As I mentioned as well, the leagues are extended themselves to the summer, and Champions League was played in August, completely weird format. But again, it's stretched football season, and of course the season started earlier. So in terms of football schedule, it was more intense. So we could recover it, of course, but not in the same, I would say, expected way that we said that 2020 will be. But as I said, I think the survey was completely kind of reflecting the reality. And yeah, so absolutely, I think this was how I can summarize this year. But I understood, I'm curious about the other colleagues on the panel, because some of them are actually, could say, enjoyed the COVID, I would say.
I think all the other three, and excuse me, Amir, I think all the other three really could have enjoyed it.
I agree completely.
Right, guys? I mean, totally. So we'll hear from them soon about that. I'm moving the next slide because the time here is moving. Okay, you know, we all know that fraud is a very big issue in the industry. We all have been suffering it for a long time, not only this year. I heard it's crazy info that fraud on mobile advertising is 8 to 10 times more than fraud on credit cards. If you take all the amount, it's crazy. It's a crazy number globally. I'd like to hear, I mean, we see here, we asked people, how did you handle fraud in 2020? So most of the answers were around 37 to 38% said that fraud is part of it. You need to understand it's part of the game. Doesn't mean you have to stop where fraud is going, but I can tell on a personal note, we have a platform to integrate the 600 media sources. A lot of those sources have fraud, not because of us, because that's how the sources work. And I can tell you that a lot of times we know to find that gold in the fraud. So we will not pass that fraud, maybe more fraud channel, but we still know how to find that gold. So I don't think that it's right to stop everywhere, but you can see that 37% said that fraud is part of it, but it's still running. Around 32% said that they shifted budgets to premium channels only, where there's no fraud at all almost. You can see in the yellow, around 15% said that they blacklisted fraud channels. And in the blue, that's around 15% also, they added new anti-fraud tools. Very interesting to hear you guys. How do you act with this? Wendy, we didn't hear you for a long time. What do you do with fraud? How do you take care of it? Do you just stop the channel? Do you have an anti?
Yeah, you're going to be disappointed. So when I joined the company roughly 12 months ago, I did pause a few channels. And ever since, we haven't been actually running into those issues. So I wouldn't be able to summarize any of the initiatives that we have done to tackle fraud. So you might want to hear from others in this question.
Move to others. Marta, how do you do? What and if do you do there?
So unfortunately, I have to join a one lead team here. We have a similar situation. We work with premium networks with our MMP to prevent this from happening. And when it comes to the insights, of course, accepting that it's part of it, I think communicating it to your founders and to the management team is not an answer they seek. So yeah. I mean, definitely true. It also depends on the market where you advertise. I guess in Asia and South America, I could expect for direct traffic to be more impactful. In Europe, it's obviously happening as well. But as our main market is basically here, we are quite confident that our MMP is doing their best to provide us with real users.
Okay. So I'm moving to the next question because I understand you're 2 out of 4 right here saying it's less revenue. We're talking about Europe. I'm moving to the next question, if it's okay, because we don't have a lot of time. And I think this is, for me, I mean, this was very interesting, one of the most interesting questions. We asked actually, looking forward, okay, which type of channels or what channels are you going to grow or decrease or increase or stay the same looking into 2021? So if I summarize here first, of course, you can see here that TikTok is the most plan to grow, increase channel. I think a lot of advertising are really want to try TikTok first because it's the sexiest name out there. We all know that. Second, because they didn't do anything there and they want to start feeling, hunching to understand how it's going to work. And again, it's crazy numbers TikTok are showing. And I know, personal note, we're integrated to TikTok. Crazy results over there. So TikTok wasn't that surprising. What was surprising for me is to see Google. Look at Google. I mean, everyone's spending so much in Google, and you can see when we asked what's going to be in 2021. So look how much people are answering they're going to grow in Google. And this is a crazy number. And as I looked at it, I mean, they're spending so much there, and they're still going to grow there. So that's very interesting. Another thing is look at Twitter on the other side. I mean, most of the audiences that they answered here are going to decrease Twitter. You can see that also. Reddit. It's nice to see Reddit. I know the small numbers, but it's nice to see Reddit. Pinterest, I think, is very interesting. Not surprising, but Pinterest is a channel. Very, you know who the target audience is there. You cannot grow everywhere. I mean, it's more or less, I'm not going to say a niche because it's not a niche at all. It's big, but the target audience is very clear. So even if you want to scale, it's hard for you to scale because you can't even go a lot bigger than that. I like seeing the programmatic and the ad networks here. And I'll move from here to you guys. I think this is maybe the most interesting question looking forward. So I'll start with you, An. When you're looking forward, how do you see this? I mean, what channels do you think you'll grow and you're going to try new in 2021? And if there are channels that aren't here, please feel free.
Yeah, well, I think the list is kind of telling a lot about what I'm thinking. So definitely the increasing for Google. Investing more into the social channel like Facebook, for example. I already mentioned that how successful we've seen with Snapchat, so we're going to double down on that. And TikTok has been one of the channels that we have seen that working really well. So those are probably like the biggest bet for us. Then when it moving to like the other channels we have, like, so we're looking more into the programmatic channel, we're looking more into the native ads. So those are potentially like a channel that we think that can help us to kind of helping the education part, the middle part of the funnel when we're doing the marketing. So those are considering to be like the other one. There wasn't mention about Apple search. I'm always skeptical about Apple search. I've been hearing a lot that people having a lot of scale with Apple search. The performance on Apple search is great. There's no denying on that. It's just the scale. I've never seen that to be like a bigger one. So I'm also a bit skeptical on whether we can scale much more on Apple search or not.
Got it. Thanks. Yeah. What about you, Wendy? We didn't have answered about the fraud. What do you see here about these channels?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, instead of like, let's say, really expanding onto the channels, of course, we want to test out more of the, the more innovative placements or like the kind of content that we're sending to our users. This year, we did see kind of a shift towards earlier conversion. So we were expecting more users to come in around the deadline of tax filing, but actually saw a lot of them shifting to earlier stage. That gave us a lot of room to really think, okay, like apart from that, what else can we expand on? If we have extra money to spend, like what kind of experiments should we set up? So taking that into account, we should really then test out different types of messaging, different types of creatives. We see a very strong engagement rate with users engaging with user-generated content. This is a creative that could work really well on platforms for the similar to, like, for example, Snapchat, TikTok, or on Facebook, for example. We want to make sure that we are, really speaking to users to their heart. So it's really about like the messaging and the creative testing and the whole user journey, and then to ensure that we create this integrated content and messaging aligned with our TV advertisement that will be launched in a couple of weeks as well. So really a lot of exciting channels to test out, and I would just really focus on this whole emphasis on speaking to the users and really targeting on their pain points, and this should help us also answer a lot of questions in terms of segmentations. As we launch into two new markets in Italy and France, even though it's the same company, tax product in different countries is essentially different products. So we also need to understand like what the users really want, what kind of problems they're dealing with on their end.
Thanks. And one question that you said something about TV. We're looking forward. Are you a brand that goes always on TV? I mean, do you go a lot on TV, or is this like one of your first campaigns on TV?
Yeah, so we started TV advertisement for the first time this year, and when I joined the company, we were just producing that in a very efficient manner. We launched our first TV advertisement in February this year. Not sure if any of you have seen that, but it is I would say, very unique messaging that we send out with telling people that tax fix is for everyone. Tax filing is everyone's business. It's not something that you should just leave it on the side. Tax fix exists for that particular purpose, to help people make their lives easier so that they can focus on what's important. We are going to send out something similar this year as well, but yeah, stay tuned. I'm not going to reveal too much information, and just want to take this opportunity to also say that because of 2020, a lot of people are really impacted by their employment situation, and there will also be some like really exciting announcement from TaxFix for 2020 as well.
We'll be waiting, everyone. I'm sure for you, it's crazier, I'm sure. Amir, how do you look at this chart? I mean, when you're looking forward at 2021 regarding the channels.
I will try to divide it this slide to three components. So first of all, I think from the second slide, I think you mentioned what kind of portfolio, I remember the question, what they're using, what kind of many channels. I missed Google Play Store, by the way.
How many channels? Yeah.
Yeah,
How many
Google
channels?
Play Store, again, we talk about all the time Apple Store, but yeah, I mean, Androids are 75% of and actually is growing. So yeah, it was kind of interesting to see this, because I find Google Store is more interesting, especially for our industry, but it's a different topic. I will try not to stay out from my industry. And what I see, and you're surprised by Google, I'm not surprised, because I think what advertisers might think it's now YouTube, actually. YouTube, I think, is gonna overgrow, and maybe not this year, but in the upcoming years as well, the revenue of Google from search, in my opinion. So I think advertisers and everybody's out there understanding the second screen, I would say, importance. So as Wendy said about TV, but you need to synchronize it with online. And yeah, absolutely, social can give you the extended arm you're looking for to reach out to these customers, driving in them to your products and make sure that they understand your products. So this is, I think, the second component. I see a lot of new channels, and you say TikTok, and of course there's every year or maybe 2 years a kind of a gold rush to a new channel. But advertisers need to stop, think a bit, because yeah, as it might work for one, it doesn't work for the second one. But yeah, you need to think about how you translate your message to the right channel. It's all the time about that. This is the old school marketing. You need to understand who are there and how you communicate to them.
Yeah.
So it's definitely, I think, the case here. So yeah, and the third component, I would say, it's what I see, especially if I need to close a bit down to practical, a bit more practical on our side, of course, then I see that, yeah, Snapchat, for example, It was a surprise for us. If you look about real money gaming and gambling as well, and sports betting, I was like, okay, skeptical, but let's try, because each advertiser needs to know its users and the user base and the core audience, and from there to make some conclusions about where they might be spending their time, and then you can, I would say, make a more less risky decision about investing in this channel. So definitely, if I need to speak for myself and my own experience for this year, Snapchat was a kind of a gamble, how we say it, a bet, and this bet was paid off, to be honest.
Great, thanks. Marta, if you could give us your answer shortly, because we have one more important slide at the end, and we have 5 more minutes.
Well,
how do you see this breakthrough when you're looking forward?
Yeah, so in the presentation before us, Thomas was presenting an awesome evolution of mobile marketing. And I think that one message he shared was that creative is king. What we see here at 7mind is that the life cycle of creatives is definitely becoming shorter. I guess it's mostly due to the fact that space is getting more and more occupied. So I think that what will become incredibly important in 2021 is not only creative iteration, but also coming up with new creative concepts and basically asset creation to basically grab users' attention. So I think this is definitely becoming incredibly important. When it comes to the spend in 2021, I think that, of course, all advertisers are planning on spending even more. So what we can expect is that the space will become even more occupied. So what I believe is truly important to increase the app stickiness of users and the retention and so on are actually strategic partnerships with, so basically looking for affiliates who share the values and have a user-centric approach and are aligned with you on the mission and the vision. And I think that when it comes to the spend, of course, you can spend the money, but if you don't retain the users, then it's like a black hole, right? So basically, what I would say, this will become incredibly important for us at 7mind in 2021 to look into strategic partnerships, but also, creative iteration and understanding what creatives are attractive for what target users. Great, great.
And regarding the channels, you see the channels also growing the same place. I mean, like it's, I mean, as the answers were here. I mean, the same channels, you see them also like that growing for you. I mean, TikTok and Google.
Definitely we see it, especially with campaigns dedicated to the students, which is one of our target users. Of course, the how dynamic this creative have to be is another dimension of this. So I would say what we see in the result of A/B testing and iteration, usually the iteration of the winning asset is not necessarily performing any better. On the contrary, so coming up with new concepts, working very closely with your design team is incredibly important.
Got it. Okay, I just got notice here that I have 10 more minutes than what I thought, so we're okay on time. I wanted to ask Wendy something because I'm really interested. I think that the audience will be interested too. In crazy times like COVID, you know, people that were fired from their job and are losing their job, and people that have needed to open their lifetime savings in order to continue life and their business. How do you, I mean, I'm sure that you really, people can see the tax returns is something maybe they didn't do, new audiences. How do you manage that in COVID? I mean, did you really see a lot of new audiences coming to you during COVID?
Yeah, so as mentioned before, throughout the years, TaxFix is a product that helps people file taxes within 20 minutes. You just easily need to upload so your annual payslip, and then we calculate the refund for you, and then it's done. This concept actually is quite simple, but that's not really the pain point that we're tackling. We're tackling really the mindset of the people that's thinking that tax filing is for somebody else, not for them. But to be honest, actually everybody's a tax person. So with TaxFix, you easily just upload everything that you have. You don't even need to upload any of the receipts. You just put in your information and you should be able to receive your tax refund. And millions of people are not doing this. And we're leaving a lot of money to the table. So TaxFix is on a mission mission to really help people get back what they earn, what they deserve, so they can really focus on their lives. And I want to also add on this is because there was typically a deadline of tax filing in July, well, May in the couple of years before, but in the last 2 years is July. We see a lot of users actually shifting to becoming a user earlier this year. I would say due to the lockdown situation, a lot of people are at home, also exploring different things online. And I must say that we didn't put in particular effort to advertise this, but just more of a user behavior that help us acquire more users throughout the Q2 time. And then on the contrary, we acquire less of the users in July than we wanted to. But something really, really interesting is we did quite well in terms of ROAS, more than our expectations. And for that reason, we're able to really take the extra budget that we have and test on new messaging, explore new segments, and also just go a little bit more risky approach. So like top of the funnel campaigns, really do a lot of reach and frequency to ensure that, you know, we're really maxed out in a certain region. Even if we fail, like that's at least a learning that we can take into account for next year. We're not a business that has been around for like decades. We don't have like historical data to really trace back and really make decisions upon those. So it's really about like, okay, making more rapid decision, taking risks, accepting that we might fail, but also making sure that everything is aligned within our KPIs.
Great, thanks. Martha, I want to ask you also, that's also something that again, we had Zoomed, we saw and we understood, I would say starting April, mid-March, the world was divided into waves, you know, the East, that's where it started, and then it moved into the Middle East and then Europe. I mean, it all went west, from east to west, and you could see the waves in all three waves that are happening. We're starting now the third wave, but where I'm in Israel, we're starting a third wave over here. But how long, you know, lifestyle apps, meditation apps, Calm style apps, Calm is a huge success, whoever doesn't know that, the app, I mean, they've been booming. I mean, during COVID, people really understood they need to be more calm. They need to go throughout the day with less stress. When did you understand, two questions I have, when did you understand this is happening? And two, strategy-wise, did you maximize the situation and just grow the budgets and say, hey, let's get a lot more users because we can? Or do you lay down and say, hey, the users are coming organically, no need to spend more money on user acquisition? What's the strategy you went through? And Anne, get ready, because I'm going to ask that also. I want to ask that you too, the same question.
So definitely when it comes to the COVID and the waves, we did not really see it reflected in the numbers, but along with the next wave, there would be another peak. So that hasn't happened. I guess there was basically a saturation of the momentum. Definitely, I believe we truly leveraged the momentum right at the beginning in March. We have also been not only taking, but also offering to our premium users that premium content for free. So we have right away created the content curated for the crisis and so on, and we have unlocked this content for everyone. And that was definitely something the users appreciated. So also working closely with the community, we were also offering events, live events for them every single day for, I think, 3 weeks or so. And definitely, I think in terms of retention, we have definitely also saw a peak in the numbers. When it comes though to the rest of the year, what we noticed is that basically seasonality, as I've mentioned already several times, kicked in. So definitely a bit of a drop or turn in summer because again, the restrictions loosened up and people were able to travel and so on, and also nice weather. So maybe not necessarily people felt they needed to have this routine in place. But along with, let's say, autumn, fall, and the weather getting worse, we again see the peak in the numbers. But I guess it's a regular user behavior we experienced also in the last year, looking back in the numbers. So definitely, I think that the novelty that came with COVID was the momentum for us. But later on, I guess people got used to it, and that was not the case anymore. However, we still obviously followed the regular seasonality trends.
Thanks. And that question, but with a little fine tuning to you, again, Walt grew crazy numbers, I'm sure, during COVID. How did you guys, I mean, did you guys hit it and spend more money to get the users, get even bigger, or you just said, hey, the users are coming organically, let's enjoy it? I mean, what's your strategy? How do you see that?
Even before the COVID, we already been very skeptical about whether we're going to cannibalize into the organics. So we're running like different, we even look into different kind of incrementality even before that happened. During the COVID, we also looking at that on the weekly or even monthly basis, at least myself. We doubling down on the marketing spend. That's the no-brainer, because I have to be honest, before the COVID, we thought that for some of our city and country, we already hitting the saturation. We already hitting like all of the potential user, right? But COVID is actually proving that it's not the case. The consumer behavior changed. The awareness is there, but people never have any use cases for using us, which means that now they do, and we're actually seeing a much better conversion from the user. So we were able to spend more money, and efficiency is actually down by even 2 times during the COVID. Then, of course, after that, we also thought like, okay, was there a hangover period where the retention would drop and the user would just like a seasonal kind of behavior, and we didn't see that to be the case. So the consumer behavior had changed, and we'd be able to continue spending without worrying too much about cannibalizing organic. And of course, like if you were looking at the graph and doing some incrementality change, you can really see that, okay, it's growing, organic and paid growing together. If the paid is growing too fast and then the organic is actually going down, then you start asking questions of whether you're going to eat into the organic part. So that's something we haven't seen, and we continue to scale.
Thanks. Would like we have a question here from the audience in the chat, and it's an interesting question. Do you guys work in any organic initiatives, if it's viral or content, not classic media? I mean, what's your belief in that? Trying to get those users in a non-media way, if it's organic or content based. How do you see that? Amir, I'll start with you. Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. No. Good question. Yeah, I think it's kind of as well a bridge from the topic that I said involved about the organic. So it's again, I think, kind of economic, lesson, supply and demand. So as you see it, yeah, COVID shifted, I would say, or shuffled the cards again, and as you said, customer behavior and the COVID pushed it towards, if you're looking on our business, of course, shops was closed, and yeah, drove people to online immediately. So we didn't need to invest so much, so it came. But yeah, I think it's still organic and it's viral. I think it's crucial. So put it even all this year aside and all the issues we have or difficulties we had, I think it's still important, So in our marketing strategy, I'm keeping emphasizing this is good. So working on the blog, especially if you talk about sports and experiences and how people are, predicting and the topics. So it's good. I think people looking for good content, especially for video and as well on social, So we are kind of in a very, I would say, our sports betting all the time produce some crazy bets, people are in this environment are looking for kind of good luck, So definitely we are picking up these stories, making it a bit more, personal, and we had also our product, which is B6, already running for a couple of kind of prediction, free to play, and around it you also can build a lot of content. I think each business needs to look inside and see what kind of, I would say, free to give, I call it like this, and they can give outside. It will attract and it will bring in customers. I still believe in it 100%.
Thanks. Anyone else there want to answer the organic content-based question? Before I move on to the next one, next slide. Yeah.
Sure. So I would like to say, yes, we do see a lot of interest with people coming in more organically. Internally, we have an ROI prediction model that kind of help us see where we stand in terms of, our 12-month return on ad spend. That's how we assess whether we're on track or not. And with that, looking into detail, we realize a lot of people actually come in organically through different kind of mediums. We realize the importance of actually bringing in the right content to them. And with taxes, there are so many topics that we can talk about that might not be the most suitable for acquisition channels, but more for organic channels. So like the likes of social media, blogs, like what Amir said, and also to create content that can really speak to the user. As I said many times in my introduction, I said that we're working on this initiative to talk to our customers, and those are really rich content that we can use within our not just marketing channels, but really organically in our blog, in our testimonials, for people to find out more information about this topic that might have sounded very foreign to them. And one thing really interesting is, of course, organic users come in with already the mindset of, okay, I can file my taxes with TaxFix. So then the window between them registering and really becoming a charged customer for us is much shorter than the users that are acquired through paid channels. So we do see the large value of increasing our organic or viral reach, and to make sure that users are coming in more and more through channels that are, not a paid acquisition channel.
Thanks. And Marta, do you have anything on your side you would like to add to this?
Yeah, definitely. In our case, also content is an incredibly important and part of work. So our content team works very closely with our magazine, meaning that basically this is a great support for our search campaigns, because obviously that improves our SEO and also credibility when we advertise different value propositions. So that is one of the initiatives when it comes to our organic users. We also have our own podcast that has been definitely incredibly successful, definitely in Germany. And a lot of users also come from that. Other than that, we also work with multipliers and psychologists, and also trying to tap into the health ecosystem. So that is obviously also incredibly important when it comes to credibility and reputation. So I believe that this presents well the ratio of our organic users, but also, as you know, a lot of them, it's also very hard to measure, because if there is a psychologist recommending us somewhere in the village in Austria or Germany, there's no way to find out how that happens, right? So unless, of course, we run market research and user interviews, so then it comes up.
Thanks. You can give them each, this is something I did 3 years ago. You can give each of these psychologists his own QR, his own MMP link, and then you can measure them, how much downloads they generate for you.
Let's try that, but they're quite skeptical.
Yeah, I know. And they're psychologists, it's harder, yeah. And you want any insights from you on that?
Just a quick add on that. So for us, it's actually, we have two strategies for those. One is actually building a community on the social channel, right? And one of the, like, Facebook is very crowded, Instagram is very crowded nowadays. So we're looking for a new channel, and TikTok is actually one of them. Our Georgian team, for example, has been successfully launched by the organic content on TikTok, and they have a lot of followers. And the interesting part is that we're actually asking them if we can using some of their contents that they are producing organically for running the UA ads. So that has been one of the initiatives. And the second one is about working with the influencer. So we've been working a lot with the Instagram influencer, YouTube influencer. Instagram is actually more. And like why the influencer from Instagram is actually great. We actually asked them later on if they have very success, can we using your content to promoting it on the ads, and using it the ads look kind of like an endorsement from the influencer. So you have the name of the influencer, you have the picture, they enjoying the food, and you actually see that the conversion is so much better in the speed of the market we have seen. So that kind of like the hybrid model that we have seen between organic and paid, and we want to actually doing it more in 2021.
Great answer, guys. Okay, one last slide. Actually, 2 more slides. Want to know it? Okay. We asked people here, I love this slide. What are you most excited about in regards to user acquisition, not in life in general? Looking forward into 2021. So I put here, I picked some of them. So people first, very interesting, custom details page coming to Google Play, whoever doesn't know. Supposed to be, planned to be a lot of changes to Apple search ads. Of course, on top of the iOS 14 that the whole industry is waiting to see what's gonna happen. Understanding the post effect of online because of COVID. I mean, to understand what's going to happen to online business, if it's all kinds. I mean, how much is going to stay regarding market share. Spotify and in general, voice-enabled ads. Hoping tracking is still going to be affected and won't die because of the iOS 14 on iPhone. New functionality in Apple Search. Fortnite, I think it's an amazing thing what's going on with Fortnite and the battle of them with Google and Apple on the margins of on the rev share there. I think it's crazy. It's very interesting. We had a few people writing that. Last click attribution. I think Fortnite, just to close Fortnite are great. I don't play Fortnite, but I think the war they're fighting, it's really interesting to see what's going to happen for the industry. Last click attribution measurement. And I'll be happy to hear from you guys, and also here reaching more medium with single platform. Guys, I'll be happy to hear from you. I mean, what are you excited about? Things that we didn't hear yet. What are you excited about when you're looking into next year? Well, I'll do it by the tiles that I see them. So I'll start with Wendy.
Cool. I'm actually quite excited about TaxFix. We're, as mentioned before, we're still pretty young and we're launching into 2 markets. We kind of successfully launched in France and Italy. So really looking forward to seeing 2 new markets, like really taking off the way it did in Germany. So that's like, I would say my top, let's say, excitement for 2021, and also to finally perhaps go back to the office if possible, to really go back to the normal life and really, have that vibes back again, despite, us having also quite a successful year being remote this year. In terms of user acquisition, I cannot stress enough about like the power of content, the power of user psychology, to help connect us to more of the users that we want to, acquire to TaxFix. Really a lot of things to try out. I think Anne mentioned influencers. This is also something that we tested out in our high season this year. I'm really looking forward to, expanding in this effort, and also taking more of the ambassador kind of approach, and have more people representing TaxFix in the user-generated content side of things. But of course, there are also some worries regarding tracking, regarding the iOS 14 IDFA depreciations, and how do we tackle those? Of course, data will be like less reliable, but how do we really, conquer that? Is really the power of creatives, and really this will not fail, right? Like if we continue to iterate on the messaging, continue to improve the way we speak to the user's pain point, this will never really go wrong, even if the data is hard to read.
Thanks. Anne?
Yeah, well, for me, probably similar to Wendy, want to go back to the office when this whole thing will be over. Of course, when it comes to vote, it's probably about growing where we are now in Germany and Japan, thinking about the retail as our new vertical. When it comes to user applications, I'm actually very excited about automations. I'm a big believer on the small and efficient team, and that's why, like, the only way that you don't want to keep adding more headcount is building a better automation, being more efficient. We already started when started first building our first automated bidding with Apple Search, and that model has been proving that working really well. And my 2021 bet is actually being even more automated with most of the channel that we can. Like, right, if we're using FMP, how do we want to be more automated on that? We're building like some sort of script on top of UIC, what sort of automation we can expect to grow. And I consider that to be like a competitive edge for any advertiser going forward in 2021. And that's what I hope for, and that's what I'm looking forward. And you are mute.
Well, I was the mute. Yeah, I said I loved your answer, because that's exactly what we're releasing soon as a product, but I'm not going to talk about us. Marta, what are you excited about in 2021?
Definitely, you're on mute is a quote of 2020, right? Yeah, what I have to say is definitely we are finalizing our data warehouse. We are rolling out the new the last iteration to it. So I'm really excited to be able to fully leverage the data that we are having ingested that. When it comes to iOS 14, I think it has been so much speculation going on in the space. So it's a bit of a tiring topic. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what finally comes out of it, and how the biggest players in the space will tackle it. So definitely here incrementality again, and everything what will happen around that. I think it will be also a huge topic in 2021. Other than that, definitely also, as Wendy said, influencer marketing. So going more native in terms of your creatives and assets, as the space is so occupied and users are maybe not so keen on seeing another ad, but rather something that they can identify with. So definitely going in that direction as well. I think it will be big in 2021. And yeah, I think that's it.
Great. Thanks. Amir?
What I'm excited about, yeah, definitely as it gets as it gets closer, the Euro 2021. Hopefully this time they will hold it. If not,
it will happen. Yeah, let's hope it will happen.
We then we are in big trouble. Yeah, but yeah, let's see how many fans are allowed or not. So I hope it will be excited and fans will be allowed, so we can have some sort of excitement all around Europe again about the huge competition. This is I would say, one more on the business level. Of course, for us, of course, as I said, licensing is in Germany, so let's see how it will translate as well, and how many will stay alive and how many will go out from Germany. I would say it's interesting for us. Globally, I would say that for me it's not I would say more technology, as Anne said, about seeing how automation kicks in more efficiently. Especially, I'm more curious, as I think I know it's acquisition panel, but yeah, as I said, retention and CRM, I would say it's crucial. Will be next year, of course, as my growth will slow down in some areas. If I talk about my area as well, I think it will consolidate a bit, and then we need to kick on with some smart, I would say, automations and how we can measure it as well. Yeah, so I think this is my take on 2021.
Great. Thanks. Okay, guys, so we're actually done. I'll just say that the survey itself included 15 questions, around 400 people that I answered. Starting beginning of next week, the full report of the survey will be sent to all attendees by email. All the attendees of the event, and it could be found in our site, also at zoom.com and in Business of Apps. On a personal note, I wanted to thank you all. I think first, really enjoyed this. I hope that people got some insights from, I think, the most interesting user acquisition and performance managers in the industry. Yeah, you guys, you are in the apps you manage. And this year, I think it's very interesting to see what happened. I think that for all of us being in the industry, this is a year that all of us got new experience. We're now experiencing new things and changes and quick changes. And I think that this year is going to help, regardless to what you do, in user acquisition or not. But I think that this year is really gonna, a lot of us is gonna help with great experience throughout, looking forward. So I would like to thank you all. We stole around 10 more minutes from our time, but that's okay. I think I learned a lot from you. So thank you all, and whoever listened and attended, thanks for being with us. We're all available by email and by chat, all of us. The event is going to be for the next week. So we have a lot of really interesting sessions for everyone. And again, the report will be sent to all attendees next week and in our site. So thank you all. Enjoy the weekend, all of you.
Thank you.
And that's it.
Thank you very much.
Everyone.
Thank you a lot, Omri, for hosting us.
Thank you.